slice right out of history. Let's ride with the family down the street, through the courtesy of Fred's 2 feet. When you're with the Flintstones, have a yabba dabba do time, a dabba do time. We'll have a gay old time.
Hello and welcome to a special bonus episode of Disney Movie Investigation. This is an ongoing series where we take a look at the TV shows we remember growing up. On this episode, we are going back to the prehistoric era as we take a look at an animation classic as we take a deep dive into the world of the Flintstones. And if you are enjoying these videos, I do ask you that you please hit that subscribe button. That way you'll be notified with each new video. But for now, sit back and enjoy this bonus episode of Disney Movie Investigation. So like I said, today we're covering the Flintstones. This show was created by William Hanna and Joseph Barbera. It aired originally on ABC. The production company was Hanna-Barbera Productions, and it had 66 original episodes. And the air dates were from September 30th, 1960 to April 1st, 1966. And this is only the original Flintstones. I know there's been tons of spin-offs. So in terms of the history of the show, after Hanna-Barbera had created the hit shows, the Huckleberry Hound Show, and Quick Draw McGraw, the studio wanted to create another show that was a prime time hit. But also, so it was kind of a mixture of both. It wanted to be aimed at both kids and adults. They wanted to repeat the success from their earlier Tom and Jerry show that was popular among all age groups. Several ideas were pitched, including 2 hillbilly families, 2 ancient Roman families, before the Stone Age was decided as the perfect setting. Inspiration was taken from the primetime show The Honeymooners, which was very popular at the time. And under the working title The Flagstones, a treatment was written by Harry Winkler. In the original treatment, the show consisted of Fred, Wilma, and their son, Fred Jr. Test footage was created to help sell the show to various networks and sponsors. This took a total of 8 weeks of daily presentations to different networks and ad agencies. In order to create the full effect of the show, Hanna-Barbera hired June Foray and Dawes Butler to provide the voice of Wilma and Fred. Foray would be dropped before production would begin, which caused Foray to refuse work with Hanna-Barbera for many, many years. In terms of the production, as the show went into production, the name was changed to the Flintstones and Fred Jr. was dropped. Although very early merchandise shows in the Golden Books shows the Fred Jr. character. The show was initially named at adults, and the producers decided to include a laugh track. The Flintstones would premiere on September 30th, 1960 at 8:30 p.m. and was one of the first shows in primetime to show 2 people of the opposite sex sharing a bed together. The first 2 seasons of the show were co-sponsored by Winston Cigarettes, and the characters would appear in black and white doing ads for Winston Cigarettes. During the 3rd season, it was decided that Fred and Wilma should have a baby. Initially, it was thought of that the baby would be the forgotten Fred Jr., but then the head of the marketing department convinced them that it should be a girl, as girl dolls sell more than boy dolls. Hanna-Barbera then created a story arc about the birth of Pebbles, beginning with the episode Surprise, where Wilma tells Fred that she is pregnant. The arc would continue right until Pebbles' birth in the episode Dress Rehearsal. In Australia, the 9 Network actually ran a contest called Name the Flintstones Baby, and an American would win the contest and win an all-expenses-paid trip to the Hanna-Barbera studios. At this time, Winston Cigarettes pulled their sponsorship, but they would be soon replaced by Welch, who created Grapes Jelly. One of the more memorable commercials featured Pebbles asking for Welch's grape jelly, and Fred explaining to Pebbles how jam is made. Also, Welch released collectible glasses with memorable Flintstone scenes. There was another arc that would occur in the 4th season, where the Rubbles were depressed about not being able to have children. This was the first time that infidelity would be addressed in an animated series. The 100th episode of the show would show how the Rubbles would adopt Bam Bam. The last arc occurred in season 6, where the would center on the Great Gazoo. For the theme song, we all know the iconic, memorable theme song. However, for the first 2 theme songs, the opening scene was Rise and Shine, which showcased Fred coming home from work. During the 3rd season, that's when the popular Meet the Flintstones was added as the song. So let's take a look at the cast. So we have Alan Reed, who provides the voice of Fred Flintstone. Jean Vanderpyle, who provides the voice of both Wilma and Pebbles. Mel Blanc provides the voice of Barney Rubble and Dino. Bea Benaderet provided the voice of Betty Rubble for seasons 1 through 4. She was replaced by Jerry Johnson as Betty Rubble for seasons 4 through 6. And then Don Messick provided the voice of Bam Bam. And then Harvey Korman provided the voice of the Great Gazoo. In terms of the show, for the one person in this world that has not seen it, the Flintstones were the modern Stone Age family. Residing in Bedrock, Fred Flintstone works an unsatisfying quarry job, but returned home to lovely wife Wilma and eventually daughter Pebbles. Fred is a big fan of both golf and bowling, and also enjoying spending time with his best friend Barney Rubble, while Barney's saucy wife Betty is best friends with Wilma. During the show's run, Barney and Betty would eventually adopt their unnaturally strong son Bam Bam, who would become friends with little baby Pebbles. So there's a huge legacy with this show because the characters are still around today. But following the cancellation in 1966, a feature film called The Man Called Flintstone, which was a musical caper which parodied James Bond films, the movie was released on August 3rd, 1966 by Columbia Pictures. The show was revived in the 1970s and featured Pebbles and Bam Bam as teenagers, and these characters have lived on for several other projects. Some of the other spin-off series have included The Pebbles and Bam Bam Show, Flintstone Kids, and Yabba Dabba Dinosaurs. There have also been several TV specials and films, and some of these include The Flintstones Meet Rockula and Frankenstone, A Flintstones Family Christmas, a Yabba Dabba Doo, which is Pebbles' wedding, Holly Rockabye Baby, which shows Pebbles having a child and Fred and Wilma becoming grandparents, The Jetsons Meet the Flintstones, and a Flintstones Christmas Carol. The characters have been used as well for several educational films from topics ranging from library help, fire safety, obesity, and driving education. 2 live-action theatrical films have also been released, the first one being The Flintstones, which had John Goodman as Fred and Rick Moranis as Barney. And there was a second follow-up prequel film, The Flintstones in Viva Rock Vegas, which had Mark Addy as Fred and Stephen Baldwin as Barney. The last direct-to-video film that was released was in 2015, where the characters team up with the superstars from the WWE, and this movie was called Flintstones Stone Age Smackdown. The Flintstones have also been featured in several comic book adaptations, along with various video games. Music from the show has also been released on CD and records. In 2011, Seth MacFarlane announced that he was developing the Flintstones for the Fox network, with the first episode scheduled for 2013. However, after the pilot script got mixed reviews, MacFarlane decided just to abandon the project. In 2014, Warner Brothers announced that they were developing an animated film with Will Ferrell as the scriptwriter. It was announced in 2018 as still being in development, but nothing further has been announced. In 2019, it was also announced that a new adult-oriented Flintstones reboot series was being developed by Elizabeth Banks and her production company, Brownstone Productions. In 2021, it was produced along with Fox Entertainment and Warner Brothers Animation, with the title being Bedrock. The series takes place 20 years after the original and focuses on Pebbles, voiced by Elizabeth Banks, and Fred, who is about to retire. And finally, in 2021, for the Looney Tunes Space Jam: A New Legacy, the Flintstones and the Rubbles can be seen and the audience at the basketball game for the film's climax. These characters also have had a huge theme park history. In Universal Studios Hollywood and Universal Studios Florida, there was an attraction called with the Hanna-Barbera characters in the feature. It was a 3D film called The World of Hanna-Barbera, and the Flintstones were a major part of it. There have also been 3 Bedrock theme parks in the U.S., those being Bedrock City in Cluster, South Dakota, and Williams, Arizona, and in Charlotte, North Carolina. In Canada, a Flintstone park was in Kelowna, BC from 1968 until 1998, and it was known for the 40-foot Fred billboard, which was a local landmark. In Calgary, Alberta, Calloway Park featured Flintstone theming with many of its buildings. And finally, in Abu Dhabi, in the Warner Brothers Park, there is a Flintstones Bedrock River Adventure flume ride. In 1994 as well, Universal Studios Hollywood replaced their Star Trek show with a Flintstones show that featured Wilma, Barney, Fred, and Betty on their way to Hollyrock, and this show would run until 1997. And of course, in terms of merchandise, there have been several forms of merchandise, but the characters are also well known for their own brand of vitamins and cereals that continue to this very day. So, memories of the show. I found that I really like the show. It's a great mix of animation and classic comedy. I've been recently rewatching some of the episodes to prepare for the show. The animation is typical Hanna-Barbera style, where if you notice, the background is just repeating over and over again as the characters run, as well as because it was TV animation, the characters' movements are quite limited. For example, when they're running, only their feet are moving, not any of their arms or heads or anything. I think this is a great time capsule for how TV animation was during the 1960s, and it shows also how far we've come. I also like how the show appealed to kids, but they also covered more serious topics, like we talked about the infidelity with the Rubbles, child raising, money, and spending. There have been several episodes where Fred is concerned about the family budget. So these characters have been used throughout history, and it shows that they're just as endearing and as popular as ever, because you see them pop up from time to time, and they're over 50 years old now. So actually more than that, like almost coming up 70 years now. So again, they still remain popular as ever. So thank you so much for joining us here on this special bonus episode of Disney Movie Investigation. I would love for anyone to leave a comment on what their favorite memory of the Flintstones, or if they have a kind of a memory involving the Flintstones. Would love for you to share a comment. And as we look forward to next month's bonus episode, we're going to be taking a look at a sci-fi teen drama as we take a look at Nickelodeon's The Secret World of Alex Mack. So until next time, I hope you have a magical day, and we will see you real soon.